I always feel that there are two different approaches you can take to landscape photography. It actually looks as if there's a mountain in the background with clouds wrapped around it. At some point I had to stop looking, I had to make a decision. Hi everyone, so I'm back on home turf, back from Valencia, out of the city and back out into the big outdoors, the countryside. And today I've just come back up to the local mountain for an afternoon, evening shoot to see what I can get. I always feel that there are two different approaches you can take to landscape photography. The first approach is to go out and scout locations, to pre-visualize compositions, identify exactly what conditions you need, so time of year, time of day, what kind of weather, and then go back and shoot them when those conditions look like they're going to happen. And most of my early morning photography is done exactly that way. But there is another approach, and it works better for evening shoots, and that is to just go out, have a walk around, explore a location and just see what opportunities you can find with the conditions that you get on the day. And that's what I'm doing today. Now, even if you've planned a shoot down to the last detail, you still have to be prepared to adapt to the conditions, because you might not get exactly what you wanted, and there's no point in trying to blindly follow a plan if the conditions just don't work for it. But coming out on a spontaneous shoot like this afternoon, I'm just going to see what I can get. Now, the weather forecast for this afternoon was for quite heavy cloud kind of now, which is about 6 o'clock, starting to clear around about 8 o'clock. So by the time we get to sunset, which is about 10 past 9, 11 minutes past 9, we might get some decent light, or we might not. I have heard some quite loud rumbling of thunder kind of in that direction, and I'm hoping that the wind out there is blowing that way and therefore taking any storms away from me. I don't really fancy being up on high ground surrounded by trees in the middle of a thunderstorm, but I don't think that's going to happen. I haven't heard any rumbles of thunder for about the last 10 or 15 minutes, and I've been up on the mountain now for about 40 odd minutes, just having a wander around. So I've got about 3 hours until sunset, and I don't yet know whether I'm going to keep on going up. Well, I am going to keep on going up at least for a little while, but I don't know how high I'm going to go up on the mountain, because it might be that the best bet is to get up high and shoot down onto the landscape, or it might be that I'd be better off coming further down and shooting out across to some of the more distant mountains. It all depends on what the weather does. But to start with, I'm going to go further up and see what I can find. Okay, so I've been climbing for about an hour and a half now, and I'm kind of reaching the point where I might have to decide if I'm going to carry on a bit further up here and see what else I can find, or whether to start thinking about heading back and doing a sunset shoot further down, lower down on the mountain. But I just spotted this scene here, and it would be better with some nice light on it, but it actually looks pretty good. There's some little yellow flowers down here in the foreground, and then the trail runs off into the distance, and then we've got the mountain beyond, and there's some clouds sitting over the top. So I've got 16 to 35 lens on at about 19 millimeters, f16 because I'm pretty close to that foreground, and a 2-stop soft ND grad in just to hold back the sky a little bit. A quarter of a second, 2-second timer. Yeah, that's quite interesting. That might look quite nice. Okay, time's moving on. I took that one shot. So having taken that one shot, I went a little bit further up the trail, but I've kind of reached the point where I'm into new territory. I don't know what's beyond there. I don't know if there's some really good compositions up there or not. And so far, I haven't found anything particularly great compositionally this high up the mountain. Now, light-wise, I don't know what's happening. We're still a good hour and a half before sunset, hour and 45 minutes before sunset. But it actually looks like the area where the sun's going to be setting is the area that's now getting all the cloud. That might burn off later, but I don't know. So I had to make a decision. Do I carry on further up and see if there's a great composition up there and then hope we get great light? And then have a 1.5 hour plus climb back down a narrow rocky trail in the dark? Or do I come lower down now to an area that I know a bit better, where I know that there's a few possible compositions, and then at least if I don't get great light, I haven't got a really long trek, I've only got half an hour, whatever it is, hike back to the car afterwards. So that's what I've decided to do. I'm on the way back down now. As I said, about an hour and 45 minutes, maybe a little bit, an hour and 45 minutes roughly until sunset. So I think hopefully I should get back down to the lower part of the trail with about half an hour, 40 minutes to spare with luck. So I better get a move on. Okay, so I got back down onto the lower trails, and it's about 40 minutes before sunset, but at the moment I've got no idea whether we're going to get anything here or not. I've chosen a composition which, if we get light, will work. If we don't get light, almost certainly won't. And I'll just give you a quick talk through that now. So hopefully you can see over behind me there's this kind of rock sticking up, and then over in the background there's the hills and there's some clouds. So the sun's supposed to be setting over in that direction, but it's kind of right on the borderline of where the clouds are. So I'm not sure if it's going to get a chance to break through. If it does, it'll hopefully paint some nice light on this scene, and then we'll have hopefully a nice image. If it doesn't, I don't think we will. But I'm set up ready, in just a case of waiting. I'll talk you through the setup now. 70 to 200 lens on, at the minute about 190 millimeters. So really featuring that rocky outcrop. And at the moment no filters on, there's no light, so it's not worth it. If the light starts to break through, maybe a polarizer, but I'm not sure. Okay, I've decided to try something else. Just down here there's a jagged peak, lots of little rocky outcrops sticking up, some trees on the top, and then on one side of it there's a little house. It's a little finca or farmhouse. And behind that, the sky actually looks quite nice, with the hills and the clouds actually look quite nice. So I've decided to do a shot. I'm zoomed all the way in 200mm. I'm putting the rocky outcrop with the trees on top sort of in the middle of the frame, and the finca, the little house, off to the right hand side, just the sky and the hills beyond. Okay, alternative composition. The cloud patterns in the background actually look really nice. It actually looks as if there's a mountain in the background with clouds wrapped around it. It's not, it's actually a dark cloud with some lighter cloud in front of it. But what I've done is I've gone for a vertical format, so a portrait orientation, but I'm going to crop it. It'll either be square or 8 by 10 probably, because there's going to be a lot of detail at the bottom of the image and a lot of blue sky at the top, which doesn't add anything, so it'll definitely be cropped. But I've now taken out the little house, the finca, and I've just got the rocky peak with the trees on top in the foreground, and then the hills behind, and then behind that dark cloud with the lighter cloud around it. F11, 1 second. Yeah. Again, that might look interesting, might make for a different image. Okay, so we haven't hit official sunset yet. That's not for about another 6 minutes. But we have hit the point at which the sun would have actually gone below the mountain ridge anyway. And there's no light on the scene. The original idea I had of this rock over here just isn't going to work without the light. I'm going to hang around a bit longer just in case, as the sun dips below the horizon, it lights up the cloud from underneath, because we might get some nice light and colours. I'm not holding out a massive amount of hope, but it's worth hanging on to see. Okay, sun never broke through. We never really got much in the way of colours. A little tiny bit maybe, but nothing spectacular. But still, I might have got a couple of nice images. I started this video out talking about the 2 different approaches to landscape photography, the pre-scouted, pre-visualized, pre-planned approach, and the more opportunistic, spontaneous approach where you just go out and try and find a suitable image. Today I did the latter, and I think I actually picked up on one of the disadvantages of that approach. Now, to be fair, there are advantages and disadvantages to both approaches, but one of the disadvantages that I found today with the spontaneous approach was, at some point I had to stop looking. I had to make a decision to go and get the shot, because I'd come out to get an image. Now, it could have been that by going another 5 or 10 minutes or even 2 minutes further up the mountain, I might have found a fantastic composition, but I just didn't know because I hadn't been and scouted it in advance. So I took the decision to play it safe and come somewhere where I knew I could find a composition, even if I didn't get great light. Now, what that means is that what I need to do now is come and scout this mountain properly. I've been meaning for some time now to come and actually do the walk all the way up to the summit, so that I know pretty much the whole route up and I know what the compositional possibilities are. But I don't really fancy doing that the first time, carrying all my camera gear. So I think what I'm going to do is come up here maybe in a couple of weeks time, I don't know. I'll come up light, no camera gear, just plenty of water, and some basic equipment, and I'm just going to spend the best part of a day exploring. I'll go right up to the summit and have a good look round. Maybe I'll bring the little video camera with me so I can show you some of it, but then at least I would know if there are some decent compositions further up, which I didn't today. Anyway, I'll stop rambling now. I hope you've enjoyed this video, and if you have and you'd like to see more, and if you haven't already done so, then please click the subscribe button. It will be on the screen, and I can never remember which side. I think it's this side in a second, and it's also down below in the little menu section. Likes, clicking the thumbs up is really appreciated, as are any shares you would like to give me. You can share the videos on Facebook or whatever. And if you'd like to leave me a comment, I'd love to read it, and I'll always respond. Comments go down below. I'll just say now, thanks very much for watching, and until the next video, bye.